A former first-round pick has suddenly become available on the free agent market just a couple of years after he was drafted. Could the Sixers look to take advantage and bring in Olivier-Maxence Prosper, who was waived by the Dallas Mavericks last Friday? Now, Olivier-Maxence Prosper, or OMAX for short, as Mavericks fans call him, was the 24th overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft. So just a couple of short years ago, he's now a free agent after being waived. So on today's show, we're going to explore if the Sixers should sign OMAX. I'll give you my thoughts, and we'll dive into the player. And at the back end of today's show, also talk a little bit about Adem Bona, who had a really good performance the other day in EuroBasket. But before we get in to the main topics of today's show, I want to say thank you guys for helping us to win our August sub battle here at Chat Sports against Tyler Smith and the folks at Celtics Today. Ended up picking 159 subs in the month of August, more than Celtics Today, who picked up 142. So, naturally, we're going to run it back here in the month of September. Celtics Today actually won the month of July. We won August. Who's going to take September here? Currently, Tuesday, September 2nd. Just a couple behind Celtics Today, but we want to start the month off strong. So if you're looking for the best Sixers coverage all year long, hit that sub button, lock us in, and help us take down the frauds at Celtics Today. So, Olivier-Maxence Prosper. Again, OMAX for short. Why was he released? What kind of player is he? And could he help this Sixers roster? Well, he's in that mold of the kind of player we've been talking about here on the show that can play that forward spot and be a potential 3-and-D level player that the Sixers team has been looking to acquire this offseason. Standing 6'8", 230 pounds with a 7'1" wingspan. Again, drafted in 2023, 24th overall. Still just 23 years old. A super explosive athlete. A 40.5-inch max vert entering the league. But hasn't been able to put it all together in terms of actually making an impact on the floor. You can see in 92 career games played over his first couple of seasons, it's just not great, right? 3.5 points, 2 rebounds, shooting under 40% from the field, and just 26% from three. That is an area, especially that three-point shot, that will really have to come along, because you can be as athletic as you want and make an impact with your athleticism. But look, if you don't develop that three-point shot, and if you're not able to turn that athleticism into actual tangible skill sets on the offensive and defensive ends of the floor, it's going to be hard for you to see minutes. Now, he has shown flashes defensively. The offense just has not really come along. And a player he was compared to quite often coming out of college back a few years ago was OG Anunoby. And OG Anunoby, again, similar, was athletic coming out of college, had a lot of skills and tools defensively. The question was that shot ever going to come along to become a true 3-and-D weapon? And of course, now we see him with the New York Knicks. He's thriving, a near 40% three-point shooter, a tremendous defender. And look, even if he's not someone who's going to put up 20-plus points per game and do a bunch of things with the ball in his hands, a key contributor to, of course, a really good team out east in the New York Knicks. So the question is, can OMAX develop the shot like OG did? If he did, he can become a really good player like that. If not, it's tough to see how he can make much of an impact on the offensive end of the floor, but is already a pretty decent defender. Now, the question is, why would Dallas want to move on from a young player like this, again, just a couple of years after he was drafted, if he does have these athletic tools? And, if they're moving on, why should the Sixers be interested? Maybe Dallas knows something that the Sixers do not. Well, the reason that Dallas did make this move, it was actually a roster crunch. It was really as simple as that. Dallas agreed to a deal with Dante Exum earlier in the offseason, but the deal was never officially signed until just after they waived OMAX. It basically came down to, how do we make up room to bring Dante Exum back? Because, of course, Dallas is dealing with a Kyrie Irving injury. They have a bigger need for guard play at the moment. And look, they're loaded with forwards. Of course, they draft Cooper Flagg, but you have Klay Thompson, you have PJ Washington, you have Caleb Martin, you have Najee Marshall. Where's OMAX going to play on that squad? Really nowhere. And they're a team looking to compete right now, don't really have the patience to develop OMAX as they go and just prioritize Dante Exum. But I don't think it's really we truly don't believe in OMAX, but we're trying to win right now. Exum fills our needs better than OMAX would. So we talked a little bit about the player, and we'll continue to discuss him, and I'll give you my thoughts on if the Sixers should sign him here coming up in just a second. But given what we've talked about so far, and the fact that he could fill the need as that athletic potential 3 and D forward spot that the Sixers team desperately needs, I want to hear from you. Should the Sixers look to sign Oubre-Maxence Prosper? And I don't think it's going to take anything more than a minimum contract really at this point and just an open roster spot. So you let me know. Give me an S for sign or a P for pass down below in the comment section. Now, again, I'll give you my answer here coming up just around the corner. But before we get into that, big shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is DraftKings. Game on. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This isn't just football. It's first touchdown fireworks, anytime touchdown rushes, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SixersChat. That's code SixersChat to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bet expires 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. And here are my selections. Eagles, Cowboys going down on Thursday Night Football. Chips picks comes out to plus 3,500 odds here. I'm taking the Eagles, minus 8.5 to beat up on Dallas, of course, after they traded away Micah Parsons. I'm getting a little bit bold here. I'm going Devontae Smith, first touchdown score. Not anytime. I'm saying he's going to score the first touchdown of the game and of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go George Pickens, 60-plus yards. Cornerback 2, a little bit of a question here for Philly. I think Pickens can reach that milestone. Of course, all lines and odds are subject to change. Big shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring today's video. So, my answer here on Oubre-Max, it's going to be a pass from me. I think the Sixers really have to maximize this last roster spot they have open. I know some of you are going to say, well, they have 2 roster spots open. Look, Quentin Grimes is going to be back, right? And the Sixers and Daryl Morey always strategically use this last roster spot and keep it open heading into the season to fill a need and fill a void that they see after the first few weeks of the year. And I'm just not sure that Oubre-Max is the right player to fill that void. And let me sort of expand on that here a little bit, right? Olivier-Maxence Prosper, after being released by the Dallas Mavericks, is a target for the Sixers if they want to bring in an athletic four-man who is 6'8" and can jump out of the gym. But look, he's just never developed his game enough to this point where he can be a reliable rotation player. So although he does have some upside, was a first-round pick just a couple of years ago, still just 23 years old, I don't think the Sixers can really afford to use that last roster spot to take a chance on somebody who is probably not going to make an impact for whatever team he signs with this season. I'd much rather let that spot go to a Jabari Walker or to one of the other two-way guys the Sixers have on the roster right now that can show something more than what Oubre-Max has shown. Now, I will say this. If things do go bad quickly and the Sixers get off to an awful start to the season and you do start to think a little bit more of a long-term rebuild kind of mode, I do like the idea of potentially bringing him in. But again, only if he's still available as the season begins and only if things do go poorly. Otherwise, I'm not trying to sign Oubre-Max at this time. Also, on today's show, Adem Bona. We got to talk about this, man, because he's been playing in EuroBasket, and we talked about I believe it was his first game back last week. And, since then, he's had a couple of decent games, one on, I believe, last Saturday. But on Monday, Adem Bona really did show out for this Turkey team that, with Alfred Şengün, Furkan Korkmaz is on the squad, Cedi Osman, they're winning some games here. And Adem Bona had a very, very impressive night on Monday against Estonia in 18 minutes. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 6 of 7 from the field. If you know, you know. 2 steals and 2 blocks, making his impact felt on the defensive end of the floor. And what's big for me and big for Adem Bona, because we continue to harp on this, and I've seen some comments in the comment section telling me to chill out, and, Adem Bona is still progressing. And look, every time I mention his foul problem, right, I always say I don't expect him to be a fully finished product at this point. I don't expect the foul problem to just go away overnight. He has to work at it and work at it and work at it. It's been a problem for a while. But that doesn't mean you can just ignore that it is an issue. I will say, the past few games, playing in EuroBasket, he's done a much, much better job of keeping those fouls down, because the first game we talked about had a good game, but picked up 5 or 6 fouls in that game. Only, I think, 1 foul in each of his last few games here for Turkey. That is what you want to see, especially, with him getting these extra reps in before the season starts. He's such a talented player, such an athletic player who can really make an impact, especially on the defensive end of the floor. But you can't make an impact on the defensive end of the floor if you're not on the floor, because you're in foul trouble. So it's what I like to see him growing and just getting more time to play basketball right now. And we'll continue to monitor what he does here in EuroBasket. But a pretty good game for him, man. And he just looked really good when he was out there, really dominating, especially on the defensive end of the floor and rebounding the basketball, which is where I hope he can make an impact for this Sixers team this season. That'll do it for today's show. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and as always, let's go Sixers.